got everybody, so let's go. All right, it's 7:01. Everybody's right, prompt on time. That's great. Do we have a motion to approve the last minutes?
I make a motion.
Somebody second?
I'll second.
Who's that?
Janet.
Oh, Janet. And everybody who's here approved?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. The treasurer's report, if people have anything that they want any reimbursement with, please just get it into me before the end of June, because that's when the budget, well, actually, like the third week in June would be good, so that it gets all cleared off. If you have anything that you spent money on that you need some reimbursement, just send me the bill or let me know or whatever. Because we still do have some money left. We will be paying for some of the seeds that Pollinators Pathways purchased and now have made available at the library. So that's one thing I know. And then we ongoingly pay, but this is something that's already budgeted in the budget. We pay for an ad in Neighbors for the farmers market. So hopefully we'll be able to spend something else. Well, I'll talk about that later. So anyway, just to remind you to do that if you have outstanding things that you haven't yet given to me. So let's move down to sustainable update. We pretty much got all of the reviews back of what we sent in, and we knew we weren't going to totally get everything because we just sent it in to check and see how we're doing. And so as it stands right now, we have 60 points and we need 200, but some of the ones are in process and may not take very long to get it all in place. Like for one, I put down our trash collection, Pam, for the sustainable event, but I just have to fill out the worksheet, which I couldn't find the worksheet, and then just told me where the worksheet was. So, and that will give us some points too. And there'll probably be a lot of points coming from Soul Smart that we haven't had yet. And also a lot of points from the Arts Council stuff, because they're really grueling this time in terms of being very particular about each of these things. And I believe sometime in June, we'll have an intern with us. And so she can help clear up any of the loose edges that we have. So I think we're probably in pretty good shape. Clean Energy is working on those Soul Smart regs that I guess, Janet, once you do that, you'll send them on to planning and zoning, right? And they'll vote on them, or?
They don't actually have to vote on them. We just have to present them. Because by the time they vote on them, it'll probably be quite a while.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of things in the wings, and it was helpful to submit because we saw places where there's gaps or where we need to give more information or add more information. And the Pollinators thing gave us a lot of those points because they had done the website and have a committee and have ongoing events. So that was helpful for us. So that's where that stands. And we need to submit everything by the middle of August, but hopefully we'll do that before. So if there's something that needs correction, we can do that quickly. And the Pollinators Pathway update, I just wanted to alert people that they're doing an event on June 25th, Pollinators in Our Yards. It's a talk, and it's going to be at the Westford Hill Distillery. So, and more information will be in the upcoming Citizen that will be coming out soon. And there are, if anyone is interested in seeds or telling somebody about seeds, there are seeds available at the library. They're coordinating there. And they're also trying to coordinate with the postmaster to set up a pollinator garden at the post office. And, you know, trying to be available if anybody has anything, any idea, anything that they want help with in their pollinator garden that they really want to make themselves available, which is why they have their website kind of thing. So I think Jennifer has done a bang up job with all that and getting things organized. And she and Melinda and Heather have really worked hard on all that. And also they have connected, Jennifer has connected to a lot of the regional groups, because this thing has really taken off in Connecticut. And there's a lot of area towns that have very active pollinator pathways garden. And I actually went last Monday, I went down in Wyndham to a garden that was an old dairy farm on South Street. And the people there have done an amazing job with gardens and setting up things. And they actually restored the old ice house. So that's a little cute little building sitting there. And then the building that was next to that, which they don't know what it was, is now a vegetable garden, so that it's sort of recessed. There's like a cellar, and then there's some fencing up above that, but not as much as one would need because it's recessed into the basement, into the foundation. And then they couldn't really save the old barn, so they kept the foundation and paved over and have parking space there. And part of that was they kind of got a lot of pressure from the town to do that quickly, and they might have tried to save the barn in some ways if had not been so. But the whole place was loaded with invasives when they bought it 20 years ago, I think it was. And now it's really well restored. And they actually have a quince tree there that is so old that the Yukon people said to her, no, don't take this down, even though it looked like it was barely alive. Try and save it. And we don't even know how to tell you how to save it, because we don't have the information on that. It's so old, and it's looking good now. They were able to check and find out information about how to deal with this tree. So it's pretty interesting. And that was part of the garden club. But also most of the people in the garden club are also part of the Pollinators pathway in Willimantic. So that was quite an interesting thing to see. And they had a good turnout there. It was a beautiful night to sit and look at all these flowers. That will keep changing during the year, because one of the things that the people in the garden club helped her do is to set it up so that there's flowers coming every season.
Loretta, I had a question on is the Pollinator Pathway a nationwide program?
It's an Eastern Seaboard. I don't know if it's all the way across. I don't know about the Midwest. I believe there's some in the West Coast, in the Northwest. I think it's Washington and Oregon. But I know what's active right now that I've known about is the whole East Coast. Christine, do you know, and have you heard any of that in terms of how extensive they are?
I'm actually just looking this up. I don't remember. I'm trying to visualize the map. And I know, I mean, all up and down the Northeast corridor or the Northeast seaboard is just amazing, but.
Yeah, it really spread fast throughout the states, I know, in Eastern Seaboard, and as is true in Connecticut, because it's taking off amazingly well, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I'm for some reason not managing to find it.
And what I do know is that Mansfield and Willimantic have very active groups and are doing a lot of things and have a lot of people who are involved. And so that's two of the people that Jennifer has hooked up with in terms of adding Ashford's input to all that. So it's very exciting that's going on. And they're hoping to maybe do a couple, in addition to the June 25th, a couple of other events in this summer time, or even in the fall. Oh, the other thing that they're looking at is seeing what, and I think this is something that we've looked at before, and we had Charlotte Koff come and talk with the maintenance people about what are they putting on the grounds and how are they taking care of the grounds, and what kinds of pesticides are they using and all that. And they're also trying to check in with that and follow up and see what's going on there. I know it was a difficult thing to try and work out with that. There's conflicting ideas going on. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's good to know there's ongoing things. So moving down to the new business under the farmers market. The farmers market started up on Mother's Day, and they had a really good turnout on Mother's Day, but not as much. Right now, it's kind of a slower period in terms of what's available. And so the one thing they do have in May is they have the hot sauce guy, Doug Crane, and he is very popular. A lot of people come to take that, and then he goes to Coventry, but then he'll come back in October for the Ashford market. And I'm not sure, I think the honey person is only there maybe once a month. They do have the baker is there, and of course the meat person, and the two other vegetable people, Kelly and Jackie, are there. And usually, depending on what's going on with the season and the growth of things, Dee, who has the fruits, will come in either middle of June, end of June, whenever everything has ripened to the point of being able to have her come there and be there. And she usually carries through with bringing in a lot of the corn. So it's going very well. Julie has been the market master now for years. She knows how to do it. She and her husband Todd go to a lot of markets, so they meet a lot of new people. She had one of her neighbors come the first day and had wonderful tulips for sale, but she's in another market, so she could only come that one day. But she keeps on, if there's any openings and someone either drops out or can't come, she tries to fill it so all the slots are filled. So it seems like that's a really good thing, and I think 16 years is a real credit that it's still going after all those years. It's quite an exciting thing, I think. And I think you're going to do something, right, Janet, with the surveys at being at the market?
Yeah, Julie gave us permission to do it. I haven't set that up yet, but yeah, we'll probably do that one Sunday. We're trying to get at least 100 surveys. Not very many people have done them online. So the June Citizen is going to have a bigger display for to try and entice people to do that. But Stephanie and I have gotten over 50 with all the places we've been to. So.
Oh, wow. Well, that's great.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah. Wow. Good job. I'm impressed with that. Let's see. Oh, I had to hear the Tremco Trail because I think COVID has sort of slowed us down a lot with this getting some signage and completing the whole trail. I mean, it's completed, but we don't have a clearly marked entrance that people know with a map and all that, which, as I kind of recall, Bill is going to do at some point. So, but I think the other thing we need to do at some point this summer, or maybe before real summer sets in, is to meet and do a whole recheck of seeing if there's anything that we need to cut some more, or if there are any down trees, or any blockages, or where the trail markings are not clear or something has grown over it, because I know that there's a couple of places which are rather tricky. And I think the last go around that you did, I think cleared that all up so people could go through the trail without getting lost or getting off the trail. And I think one of the things that can be helpful when we have a map is for people to understand that part of the trail does include Tremco, so that you at time you're on both trails. And I think sometimes people have been a little confused about that, but if it were on a map there, I think that would make it a lot more clearer. So, and I think, Steve, you were gonna make a map similar to what you did at Langhammer, or did I get that right? Or
Yeah, I can do that. I haven't been out there in a long time. I recall Bill was going to put up a kiosk or, something similar. And that's not done then.
yeah, no. So we can check with him next time and see, or I can check with him before to see when that can get done. Because I think it would be good if there was any money involved, if we could get that in before the end of June. Yeah, Gwen.
I was wondering if we could get a topo map to show the contours, to show people that it is steep at the beginning. So just to put that in perspective for people, if we're going to do the map. I'm just wondering, is it going to be a topographic map?
Or if not, there could be a 1-paragraph description that indicates that it's very steep at the beginning.
Well, we did say that, we'd moderate or something at the beginning,
Right.
so older people would.
Yeah, I think that's, since it is right next to senior housing, I think it is a good idea just to put down that there are places that are steep, just so that, it's, I mean, some people might not be able to read a map and understand that what the lines are and all that kind of stuff. So that may or may not be necessary, but I think we could put a few words down
Right.
that say it's maybe moderate difficulty with some steep places, and also to say in words that part of the person will be walking on 2 trails. So I think maybe sometime in June, if people are available, a couple people can go out and look at that and see. And maybe we can wait until Bill and Stephanie come back, because they've sort of worked on this a lot too. And some of us can just go out there and go through and make sure that it's passable. One never knows during the winter months, but also there's been a lot of wind this past April and May, so things could have fallen down, and even some trees that have markers on them. So I will contact Bill and then send out some dates to people, and people can respond if that's okay.
Yeah.
Does that
cool.
work for people? Okay, great. And then the other thing that occurred to me when we were talking about this Tremco, that I think we need to also check back with Langheimer, because we haven't been there in a while, and I'm sure there are some things that are across the path right now, or places where we need some clippings. Because I remember one time Steve and Bill and I went out there, and there was a couple of places that we had to clip, and you cut down a tree at one point, I believe, Steve. That was several years ago, as I recall.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Stuff like that happens all the time,
right. Yeah, and I think we should try and remember to do every year, 1.5 years, to make sure that we check in to see if it's still passable, because I think a lot of people use that in addition to Ruby Fenton. So Fenton Ruby, I always get that mixed up. Fenton Ruby, so they'll go through Fenton and then switch on to the Langhammer. So I think it's up to us to check that out and see. So that might be another thing that if people, does anyone know right now that'd be interested in doing that? So I could, rather than emailing everybody, I could just email a couple of people.
Where is it? Langhammer, where is that trail? Is it here in Ashford?
Yes, it's on the border, Willington, Ashford. and it hooks up with Fenton Ruby Park.
I'll do it and bring my clippers. I've never been on it. I'd like to see it.
Okay.
I'd like to do it if I can.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too, Loretta. That's a nice.
Yeah, it's a
non-
fairly easy
Yeah.
trail. There's a little sloping, but it's not very hard to do. And it's kind of an.
Not Tremco.
Yeah. We can all go slow because, we have to pay attention to our bodies.
The parking lot looked good recently when I saw it.
It did?
Yes.
Oh, good, good. Okay, so maybe we can look at our calendars right now and come up with a day. And if it's a good day, we'll go. If not, we'll reschedule. How about the week of the 13th? Either a Monday or a Wednesday or Friday.
Monday or Friday is good for me.
Okay.
I could do Monday, not Friday.
Okay. Why don't we set it up for Monday, the 13th,
Okay,
like at 10? Is that good?
yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm sorry, what are you looking at, Loretta?
Monday, June
13th,
13th.
Monday.
Oh, I'm not sure I'm going to be here, but if I am, I'll come.
Okay. All right. We'll set that up if it's rainy or not, if it's too blazing hot, we won't do it. Otherwise, we'll meet there and see what goes on. Okay, that's great.
I'll put it-
The other thing I put down was summer programs, since, things have loosened up a bit, even though really the COVID numbers have not gone down, from my understanding. But I was thinking that maybe we could do some program. I was sort of thinking about maybe coordinating with the Pollinators people about doing some sort of invasive species talk, because we have so many. I mean, there was so much garlic mustard around
Oh,
around
God.
the roadways and everything. Probably anyone who's done any cleanup on the roads
Oh,
sees
God.
how voracious it is. I mean, that's just one. And the only good thing about garlic mustard is it's relatively easy to pull up, particularly in the beginning of the spring.
Yeah, well,
But it certainly, it grows, grows like a weed, they say. Well, that's the weed they're talking about.
it grows like 20 weeds all in
Yes.
one. Man.
So I was thinking maybe we could, I could check with Jennifer and Heather and Melinda and see if we could maybe do something like in the end of July, beginning of August, and set up a program. Hopefully people could come and ask questions, or even for us to have identify invasive, because a lot of people say that they don't really know what is what and what's happening. And I think the problem is right now is that there's some new invasives that are coming in, creeping up, or some leaping up maybe from the mid-Atlantic because of warmer temperatures. I think this past year, because we had a couple of cold snaps later in the year, maybe it slowed that down. But I know basically because of warming, there's a lot more of what would traditionally be mid-Atlantic kind of invasives kind of coming up very, very much so in Connecticut. Have you heard anything about, well, go ahead.
Maybe we should add bugs like lanternflies that are apparently imminent.
Yeah.
Loretta, the only thing I'd say about if you're going to target garlic mustard, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, because it's flowering.
It'll have gone to seed
Yeah,
by August or
Yeah.
July.
it'll be all gone.
Yeah, I agree. My plan, what I was thinking of, that would be something for people to look for the following spring kind of thing, because I mean, it's already, out of control kind of thing. And one of the things that we might be able to do is get Charlotte Koff to come and give a little talk. Hopefully, we could work around her schedule and see. That was the one thing I thought of, and I was really wanting to get some feedback from people in terms of if there was anything else. The other thought I had was that I'm pretty sure the summer concerts are going to go on. And I
Yes.
wondered, Pam, about if you were interested in doing some more education about waste and trash.
Oh, absolutely. I learned a lot during COVID, and I have a lot of good examples to show people for alternatives to bringing plastics into their home. So yeah, I'd love to do that again, set up a table again.
Okay, all right.
You know where I would love to see a quickie table with just a sheet saying which plastics are recyclable at the farmer's market. For example, black plastic is no longer accepted.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
that's been true for a year now. Willie Waste won't accept black plastic.
Yeah,
which
you
means-
mentioned they're not all.
Which means that
accepted.
the farmer's market person who does the food puts it in black plastic containers. So, you know, I had to stop buying from them, which even though I love the food, because I was building up this stack of black plastic containers that were going to be burned, you know, or landfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I mean, I don't know.
I had a thought of having some kind of a sign at the transfer station by the
Bin.
recyclable bin.
Yeah.
That we could change, but so, you know, one we could say, you know, did you know black plastic isn't recyclable?
Right.
Did you know plastic
Yeah.
bags aren't recyclable? You put them in this bin, but they actually go into household trash.
Yeah. They just dump them in. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people with their dirty pizza boxes throwing them in. Did you
Mm.
know, containers that are dirty aren't recyclable?
Right. Yeah, whole containers,
So
whole
you-
dumpsters.
You could just have
One message a week.
a simple message and just change it, you know, I don't know, whenever we could, but I don't know if that would make a difference or not, but I think people just aren't aware. And the first step is awareness to understand.
Right.
You know, I have a sign thing. I have a set on the ground, big, huge thing for sign that I'm not using.
You mean that hold signs? You're talking
Yeah.
a stand like?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that could be just put there and we could change the sign every week. We could just tack one on every week. Let me find it. It's in the basement somewhere, but you know, maybe we could just use that.
Now, what would be good for a sign? Because if you just use like a board and that,
Like a whiteboard?
Well, I was thinking something you could attach to the fence, to the railing there. And
Oh, kind of like hang it?
yeah. It would have to, I guess, I would have to obviously be weatherproof,
yeah,
I guess.
Well, the thing itself, but on each individual week, there could be something that was less permanent put on it. You know, like just a big printed sign.
Yeah, but then if it rains, it'll be a mess. You know, we
Well,
need
but
something,
we don't put it up if it rains. For just the weekends that it doesn't rain, we just bring one over on Saturday,
we could
tack
do
it
that.
on. Someone go take it off on Sunday. I don't know.
well,
can
it's a good
figure it out.
idea. Practically, I guess if it were like a whiteboard, you could just change it easily each week,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
You mean like just write on a whiteboard?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. With a magic marker and
yeah,
then,
actually, that would be pretty cool.
yeah, I think that'd work well. And it could be hung off of the fence maybe with zip ties or something like that. Or make hooks, metal hooks that would just go through over the railing. I think that'd be the most durable.
right.
You probably want to talk to Charlie beforehand too.
Yeah,
Well, I was thinking
Bill.
first, maybe it would be a good idea to talk to Bill.
Have to talk to Bill, yeah. And
And
Well-
there is a transfer station commission or committee, right?
they were going to
Is there?
start one up. I don't know if they did or not.
I don't think it started yet.
Okay,
I've got to go to the library tomorrow for a meeting and I need to talk to Bill anyway. Do you want me to approach him tomorrow?
Please do that. Yes, that would be
Okay.
great, Pam.
Okay.
And you can ask him, you know, would it be all right, like to
Yeah.
talk to Charlie, or if he were okay with it, or does he want to do it or whatever? And then let us know. And
Okay.
and
if I can
is-
help in any way, I'll be happy to. And you can
is-
also ask, because I don't think that we have an active trash committee right now. I know we did in the past and then.
Well, I know they were gonna start it up again, and who was I talking to that was upset because she hadn't been asked to join it, even though she'd been part of it for years.
Is that Angie DeSanto?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but you could, I'd ask him about that too.
Yeah, so ask him whether he would care and ask him if the trash committee has
Okay.
started up again.
Okay. I'll ask and I'll shoot you all an email and let you know what he says.
Great. I think that is a good idea. You
Yeah.
know, Janet, since you mentioned that, maybe that could sometimes be with the, what is it, the green tip of the month in the Citizen might be something about the trash.
That's a good idea.
Or even if it's like one sentence, we could put it at the bottom of the CC report in the Citizen too.
Oh, that's true. Very
And
good.
I
we
mean,
could,
seriously, the best thing would be to be a one sentence thing.
we could also coordinate with what is going on, concerts in the park. When we're doing those, with what we're saying if we get it in and by that time.
That's true. And we could incorporate that sentence at the table.
Right.
You know, whatever it was that week or that month or however we did it. I think that would be a really good idea. You know, they're talking a lot about trash now in terms of nuclear waste and everything, but I think this whole business with COVID, when there's much more takeout
Yeah,
generated, tons.
it's
Yeah.
insane. It is insane.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, what would be really nice too, Pam, so you said you'd been doing a lot of information gathering.
Yeah.
What would be really neat would be to see if you could find examples of recyclable containers for takeout. You know, probably the rice things from Chinese restaurants aren't recyclable because they have plastic coating on them. They look like paper, but they're not really paper. So
Yeah.
it's like those nuances that can just ruin a whole container worth.
Well, I
And
know, well, like up at, what is it called? BT's Barbecue in Sturbridge. They use cardboard containers as takeout, and they're not plastic coated because they disintegrate on your ride home. I mean, those are real honest to good ones. Maybe I could get one from them to use at the table.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you think,
Well,
you
and
know,
one of the tips could be bring your own containers.
right, right. Well, who was the young woman who came with her little daughter who said she always brought her own containers everywhere? Remember, her daughter was at the elementary school
Yeah.
and
Oh, Carrie.
Carrie.
Carrie, that
Right.
was it. She had really good tips also. She always went around with her own container to restaurants.
Wouldn't that be neat to get a picture of Carrie holding a container to put in the Citizen? Carrie says, bring your own container to bring takeout food home. Wouldn't that be cute?
It was a great idea.
It's a great
I've long
idea.
thought of this, and I thought that they should also have an option where they sell a reusable container that you can, when you order it, you could pick it up and you pay a higher price and then you bring it back. Or there even could be a switch program where, you're
Right.
paying, if you already have it, you could bring yours. But I think that that's the way for the future. Just like like right here. This is the best container I ever had for coffee, Dunkin' Donuts. And it really works, hot or cold. And the same thing with takeout food. We have to start doing that.
Yeah.
Or some places won't take your container and won't fill it
Right.
up.
You
They
can at
won't
least
take-
bring it, you can at least bring it when you go to dinner and you take home half
Yeah.
your dinner.
Right.
Yeah,
At
because
least
you
do
can
that.
put it in at the table
Right.
and not even
Right.
show it to them. Just do it yourself.
Right.
There is a movement to have reusable, like Gwen said, reusable containers. Like at a grocery store, you use it, you have a way to bring it back. They take it, clean it, and reuse it. And then some companies are using like a universal design jar so that they can interchange they can reuse that jar, multiple companies. But obviously they're not
Yeah,
widespread.
too slow, too
Yeah.
little, too late.
Mhm.
So one of the sustainable actions was recycle additional materials and compost organics. Susan and I are going to look into whether we could do a textile recycling day. I don't know how it'll work, but we thought we might try
That
that.
would be cool.
Because textiles are a lot of municipal waste.
Huh.
Yeah. Huh. I wonder if, depending on what it's made of, whether all of textiles, or is there some that can't be, or did they take all of them? I mean, I don't really
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. We have to look into it.
Huh.
So Goodwill will take textiles for rags. They'll take things that aren't good enough to sell for clothing. But I don't know what their criteria is, how much of that they actually throw out.
Right.
Yeah, probably rayon doesn't make good rags, for example.
Yeah.
Well, rag rugs up in Maine, and they take the material for making rugs. For women who don't have jobs and then they have to be home, this is like a wonderful thing.
Cottage industry, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be done because we certainly generate a lot of waste. And there's so many things now that have a liner, a plastic liner. on
I
it.
know everything, it seems.
Or an aluminum liner,
Yeah.
so like, yeah, things that look like they should be recyclable, you look and they've got some liner inside that blows the whole concept away.
Well, I think we've got some good ideas going, and to see what we can do, and to see about how cooperative the transfer station can be in helping us out. Because I know we, as a town, spend a lot of money on waste, and it keeps going up. I mean, it used to be that the recyclables were a positive. They would deduct from the regular household trash, but now the recyclables, you're paying. So we're paying for both.
Pam,
And people don't know.
you could ask Bill, he mentioned at one of the Board of Finance meetings, how many truckloads a week we export.
Uh-huh.
Right,
You could ask
find
him
out.
that question and
Okay,
how much it's costing us.
I would
Okay.
also like to know how many truckloads get refused because they're contaminated.
I'd like to know that
So I
too,
wonder if Willie Waste would tell us that.
for our town specifically.
Yeah,
Well, Bill might know that, because don't they charge us then for them? If
oh, do they?
charge us more if they're rejected?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, see, like a lot of us are very concerned about trash and we're very interested in it, but there's so much that we don't know. You can
Right.
imagine what
Right.
how the average Ashford citizen, they
Right.
don't know anything. How do they
They don't
decide
even know
what
they
to
should
put in
wash
what?
out their cans, right, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think there's a lot of education that needs to continue, and it keeps changing too.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing. What is one year
Yeah.
they can take, and next year it may change. So it's an ongoing, changeable kind of thing, which is why it would make sense to have a trash commission.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Loretta, before we leave the category summer programs, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Sure.
Maybe you know the answer to this. Is the Yale Summer Series going to be on this year? It's been canceled because of the pandemic for a few years.
Right.
You know, yeah. So do you know anything?
I haven't heard. Come to think of it. Yeah. I'm surprised.
Okay.
I usually get an email. Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah,
there
we usually
something-
get
weren't
emails.
there things in the spring, earlier in the spring? I thought I did see something earlier.
There were some, as I recall, there were a couple of things that were on Zoom.
Well, no, yeah, was that the maple,
They had a maple syrup thing, didn't they? Or
the
maple?
no, the maple
tapping?
tree farms. Was that by Zoom?
I'm not sure.
I can look it up.
I'm just talking about the outdoor pavilion,
Right,
the
I know.
speakers and the movies and
Yeah, we all know what you're talking about, and maybe they are gonna have it this year. A lot of things are back.
Oh, the maple thing was the Quiet Corner Initiative.
Well, that's part of the
That's
Yale.
Yale. That's
That's
Yale.
Yale.
Okay, so that was, oh, looking forward to seeing you at the forest. So that was 3/12. And it was apparently at the forest, at Yale Myers Forest,
in person.
in person. So there was
Whoa.
also one in, okay, here's another one, June 4th. There's producer to producer knowledge transfer on sap collection and processing, silviculture on June 17th. That's like, oh, that's in Western Massachusetts. Then there's one in Norfolk. Oh, Yale Forest, again, silviculture and timber harvesting, July 15th at Yale Forest. And tubing system installation, sap storage at Yale Forest on October 22nd. So they're doing the whole series on maple syrup production there.
Mhm. So that's not the same thing as their summer program, because the
Yeah.
summer program
Yeah.
was in June and July.
Right,
Yeah, summer seminar series it was called.
yeah, this is different, but they're doing things at the forest, so
That's good.
that should mean that they could do other things, but I haven't gotten anything.
Yeah, I think we should have gotten something since
Yeah.
it's the end of May.
Right.
Me too.
Right. The other thing that I did do following up, a couple of months ago, Art Talmadge emailed me about all the agriculture when we were talking about the agriculture stuff going on and large farms and large buildings, et cetera, and did say that he felt it was important to talk about this. And so I sent him an email inviting him to come in the future whenever he wanted to a Conservation Commission meeting and bringing anybody from Agricultural Commission to talk with us so that we could have a dialogue. I haven't heard anything, but I just wanted everybody to know that I put that out there in response to what he said, because I think it's an ongoing discussion that.
I listened to the last ag meeting and he assumed that you meant the next CC meeting, which then he looked and saw was canceled. So that was the last meeting that we canceled. So he's confused about when you might want him to come.
Okay, I'll send him another email then.
And I know that one of the issues they want to discuss is Luther wants to lease Cadle Rock. So
That's up to the selectmen, really.
yeah, right. Well, I think Luther wants us on board with that somehow.
I don't think the selectmen are opposed to it, but
Of course not.
Okay, so I will send an email back. I thought it was pretty clear that I said any future meeting, but maybe
Well,
everybody,
he thought you meant the next meeting, which
Yeah,
then
okay.
turned
no
out
problem,
last
no
month.
problem, I can do that. Okay, so does anybody else have anything that they want to bring up or concerns?
I do. This past Saturday, Susan Eastwood had organized for the Sierra Club's 50th anniversary. We did a mini roadside cleanup. Were you there, Janet?
yes,
Yeah, you did North Road.
yes.
Yeah, I did Turnpike from the Westford Church to Ference and back. And I don't think she had a whole lot of people sign up to do it, but you know, at least we got out and did something again with some cleanup.
Yeah, she sent me an email, Pam, and she said they had,
Oh,
you
did
had
you?
5, yeah, 5 people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sue Harkness joined me and we finished up the part of North Road that we didn't get to earlier.
Yeah, so, you know, it was just good that she did that and we cleaned up a little bit again. Just ongoing. And when does the new deposit on the nip bottles go into effect?
I think next year,
Is
23.
it? I don't think it's really gonna make a big difference.
I heard, where did I hear that just banned nips?
I wish we'd ban them.
Massachusetts, it's somewhere in Massachusetts, I think.
That's so
Ban.
smart.
Banned selling nip bottles. Oh, man, I forgot. It was on,
We could probably Google it and find out.
yeah, but they banned it.
It's great. I mean, I stopped at one point and someone had made a very neat pile of about 10 little tiny vodka nip bottles all together, very neat and tidy. And it was just like unbelievable. I don't know if he drank them all at once or.
I don't think he could have made such a neat pile after drinking 10 of them.
But I mean, still, the majority of the stuff is the plastic cups from the fast food restaurants and the booze bottles and cans. That still is a majority of stuff that's on the side of the road. It's just disgusting. And, you know, every time I'm doing it, I feel like going into Cumbies and Dunkin' Donuts and just going off on them and just saying, you know, it's got to change. You know, make it out of something biodegradable, the cornstarch or whatever. It hold up long enough for people to drink out of it. And then if you throw it out, it decomposes.
Certainly wouldn't make a mess in the liquor stores. It's Nantucket that banned them. Nantucket banned nip bottles.
Oh,
Well, figures.
Yeah, right. Well, hey.
Still Massachusetts. Uh,
Well, the towns will get the money, the deposit money for the NIPS.
They
Supposedly
should
to
give it to
help
the
clean up,
Nature Conservation Committee because we're the ones picking them up,
right?
you know? Geez, we could use it. We could put it to good use.
And a lot of the problem with the NIPS, not only is there a lot of them, but they're so small that if you don't get them right away, they are in the ground, you know, they're hard to find. You have to sort of dig them out.
You do?
Yeah.
I was digging them out.
There you
I
go.
was digging them out, kicking the dirt and, you know, pulling them out. I mean, it really is a blight. It's just awful.
But
You know how I feel about it.
strangely enough, that bothers me less than all the plastic that degrades into microparticles that then go.
But
into
they are
the thing.
plastic, the nip bottles.
Oh, they
They
are?
are plastic.
Mhm.
Yes, they're
Oh, I thought they were
plastic.
glass.
No, very
Oh,
few.
okay, then I'm.
There's like a couple that might be glass, but they are predominantly all plastic.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yep.
Then even.
Yep.
worse.
Now you can obsess over that,
I
Christine.
can't.
Kim just made your day, Chris.
I know, really? Just add one more, just add one more.
It's disgusting. I'm sorry.
I know, driving on 74 and 44. I remember driving in Long Island Expressway and just being amazed at how much litter was on the roads. I tell you, we're starting to look like that. It's just incredible. It
We
is
look like the
incredible.
Beltway around Washington.
I know.
It's disgusting.
It's incredible.
I found probably a dozen different pairs of socks on the side of the road. I don't know where they all came from. All these socks everywhere. Who throws them out like that?
I think kids like to wave with their socks.
Oh, these weren't children's socks.
Oh,
These
really?
were big socks.
Oh.
These were adult size socks.
I'm sure the shoes were somewhere nearby too, The plastic shoes.
Right.
Oh my God.
Well,
Yep.
see, I think the problem with this whole recycling business is that a lot of people think, okay, if I just put the plastic in the recycling bin,
Yeah,
it's
right,
all going to be recycled.
Right.
exactly,
And they don't know that it's not all going to be recycled.
right. And they
Well,
think plastic, and some things like the containers, Rubbermaid containers, those aren't plastic, those are like rubber, right?
Right.
They aren't plastic. I mean, there are all kinds of things that you think are plastic that aren't plastic.
Yeah, I always look
Again,
for
brings
the
us
little,
back to our signs.
that little triangle to see.
Yeah,
What's
but those numbers.
And
are-
it doesn't matter anymore, you're saying, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Ugh.
that's the clever deception of the plastic industry to make
Exactly.
everyone think that things
That's
are
right.
recyclable.
Right.
That's
which is-
right.
Well, there are a lot of the plastic is recyclable, but the
Right.
cost of recycling it means that there's no industry
Right.
that is going to
Right.
do it. So yes, they can say recyclable, but
Right.
that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Right.
And that's the whole thing, and the market has fallen out of that
Right.
for several years now. So that's a problem. But the general public, I don't think has caught up with that.
Hasn't a clue.
Yeah. And it's hard to keep up too, that. I mean, we do have on our town website, you can plug in anything and it will tell you whether it's recyclable or not. But it can be recyclable, but that doesn't mean the
That
town
Willie
is-
Waste will take it.
Right.
I know, because the black plastic containers should be recyclable, but Willie Waste won't recycle them anymore. So, all bets are off.
Right. So does anyone else have anything else
Yes.
rather than the gloom about plastic?
Yes, so I mention of Cattle Rock. Are we going to maybe come up with some ideas of things we'd like to see happen with that property?
Where
For
is it?
example, trails or a nature park or something like that.
It's on 44, and the Willington,
It's where the wagon shed used to be.
well, she
Oh,
doesn't know that.
She
where the-
doesn't know that. She wasn't
Right.
here then.
I'm
Right
too
on
Howard
new.
Road, across from Howard Road is one access.
On the
point.
Willington line, by the
Oh,
Willington
okay.
line.
Where there's a big fence and tons of autumn olives.
Oh, okay.
If
There's
you,
I don't know what they
There's a
look like.
turnout.
Look at Howard Road is.
Okay.
That's what I just said. No,
Okay.
isn't there another access point that, that would come off
yeah. off the
near
side road.
near the Ashford Oak, but like further down?
Karasi Road, that's Karasi Road.
Correct.
There's
Yes.
an entrance there, it's posted, or actually, since Ashford took it over, I haven't checked, but it used to be posted.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's you can walk in that way. There are some trails back there. I shouldn't say trails, but old
Logging roads.
access roads. And it's a little bit wet back there too. But and I wouldn't say that I've walked the entire property, but I've walked a lot of it. And it's interesting. A lot of it's wooded. There's it's hilly in places.
And there's water, there's a pond.
Yeah, and there's a lot of water toward the back. But there are some farm fields there. Tommy, not Knowlton, the other one in Mansfield, he rented those fields for a couple of years and grew corn there. I birded back there. There's some interesting birds. Not quite sure why they have no trespassing signs up.
That's I think DEP put those up on their entrance.
No, Bill put those up.
Oh, okay.
He has said so in a meeting. I
Oh,
heard him say that. And I was puzzled why that would be.
Did they think that it had toxic waste at one point and we're just trying to protect people?
Well, if they think it has toxic waste, then they wouldn't have
It
bought
doesn't.
you know?
It isn't as
So-
bad as they thought, but at one point they may have thought that.
Oh, well, it's supposedly been checked out and
Yeah, it's
a
been,
consultant was hired to do a review and the consultant said, well, we can't sample every foot of ground there. So they do sampling and they gave it a clean bill of health, but they could never say for certain that
right.
there is no toxic waste there.
But
But they pretty much located the places where there was dumping.
Dumping, yeah,
And that's the places that they targeted.
right.
So, I'm sure probably, of course, it seeps into the soil, whatever it is, but it did get both, I think, from the feds and the state government, a clean bill of health from DEEP and the federal government. So I know there's a lot of talk about what kinds of things to do. And there are some people who are talking about doing like a nature center and trails and walkways and stuff like that.
Cross-country ski
And then
trail.
using part of it as a solar installation, so that it's not all one thing, because the Ashford part is a fairly large piece.
Yeah.
So, it could be a variety of things. Someone else had said housing development, but I'm not sure that there, like Steve mentioned, there's a lot of wetlands there,
Well,
so.
let's put a school on the toxic waste site. That's what typically happens, right?
But there's a lot of ideas generating around, and I think it's still open for interpretation. And I don't know if legally it's clear in terms of who is responsible for all the funds that it cost to clean it all up. I mean, if the town starts doing stuff on it, are they then responsible for the cost of the remediation and stuff, or a part of the cost or something like? I think that was, the last time I heard it was still in negotiation process or checking that out. Our lawyers were looking at that.
Yeah, and
How
also,
many acres are in Ashford?
I think it's something like 343 or something like that.
and then also there's the issue of the taxes that have been lost and what kind of people think about that, but whatever.
We're not getting those back.
We're
as
not-
far as
No,
I-
we're not getting those
We're
back.
never getting that. That's over $1 million, I think.
Right, yeah. But I guess there's some people who think, well, we should do something that would make money on the land to recoup some of that loss. For example, the Ag Commission believes that.
What do they want us to do with it?
Lease it for farms.
Oh. Well, that might be a reasonable idea to do with some of it.
Yeah, the amount of money that would come in from leasing land for farming would be a pittance.
Negligible.
Yeah.
I think we need some affordable housing on a small part. And then, Steve, you've seen it. How does it compare to like Langhammer? Is it as pretty?
Yeah, it certainly has potential. I think they logged it within the last 10 years.
Clear cut logged?
Not clear cut, but
Mostly.
a substantial amount was taken.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say, you know, like I said, it's wet, it's a little bit hilly. There are really only two places to do farming easily. Yeah, everybody wants to do a solar farm these days, but boy, that's well, I'm not a big fan of solar farms, to be honest.
Well, of course, the ideal for the solar industry is to do that on prime farmland.
Yeah, right.
So very easy to
So-
put up the panels and then they start generating the money. These companies are not really interested in going to something
Brownfield.
like, you know, what Cato Rock is,
Right,
and doing the work to prepare the ground.
right.
Oh, well, yeah, but there are two large farm fields there. They would love that, but
Uh-huh.
that's right at the end of the main entrance too. And it would block the main access to the area.
And it would cover farmland.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so
Make farmland useless again. Let's do more of that.
Are there ledges and stone walls?
ledges. I don't remember seeing ledges. I'm not sure there's much steep land there. Just a little bit hilly. What was the other question?
Stone walls, anything
Stone walls.
historic, like,
There are probably some stone walls there, but nothing substantial. You know, maybe off of Carosi, there are a few, but there's actually a nice bridge there. I'm not sure if that's actually part of Cato Rock, but yeah. And that property, I think, extends way back toward Camp Conry too. So
yeah, that part's nice, has stone cellar holes.
huh.
Nature center with cross-country ski trails. Could put us on the map for visitors.
Yeah, I do hope the town takes their time and
Yeah,
considers lots of ideas.
yeah.
Really needs to be, any ideas need to be vetted, you know.
So who's gonna make that decision? Board of Selectmen? Janet,
Probably, I would think.
has it been on any of their agendas lately?
I can't remember when they last talked about it. I know they talked about it. I don't know.
A lot of what they've talked about in the Times has been talked about is the legal status and what's going on. I don't know that there's actually been a formal kind of thing of like, let's open this up to the town and see what kind of ideas people have.
And they might do that.
I think they will do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we hope they will do that.
Nice to get the environmental review team out there to look at it like we did with Langhammer back in the old days.
Well, they've already done that. That's already been done.
There's a report.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's been two phases of going out there and evaluating it.
right.
But that was evaluating it for dump sites and toxic waste. It wasn't evaluating it for
Potential.
potential, environmental potential or,
Biodiversity or rare plants.
right, or historic interest or any of those things, right?
Like Loretta said, there are lots of ideas floating around. There have been lots of ideas for many years too.
Right.
In fact, I think Our Town, Our Future committee, it's always, that's come up now and then in that committee.
And
But,
I know economic development has talked about that periodically.
right, and we talked about it
Yep,
too,
yep.
back when Ray and
Mhm.
Mike were on the commission too. But it was all speculation because the
Right.
town didn't own it.
Right,
Now the town actually owns it.
right.
And I think they have some kind of special dispensation from any kind of liability. Although I've never seen a document that says that. But I think that they wouldn't have taken possession without that. Without some legislative protection and also without that report being done too, so.
Well, maybe at some point it would be helpful for a couple of people from conservation to request to put it on the Board of Selectmen meeting and talk about where does what is the town thinking so far, and has, is the Board of Selectmen thinking of forming a committee or getting input from boards and commissions or having an open hearing, blah, blah, whatever.
Right. So what's the status, Board of Selectmen? Tell us get transparency in here.
Right. Hey, I can think of a few good ideas. So community gardens.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do something like that.
Oh, man, that would be cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of really good possibilities. But, I mean, things move very slowly here.
They might move much faster than you think.
Yeah, they either move slowly or they zip along without any transparency, right?
Well, I think this is a big enough project and it's been around for such a long time. I really would not think that anybody on the Board of Selectmen would want to push through something without checking with townspeople. I just can't imagine that, because there's been so many people who've speculated. And as Steve mentioned, a lot of the commissions have talked about it at various times and all that. And it has been on the subject, the topic of the planning, POCD and all this. So I don't think it's something that's going to get rushed through. I can't imagine that's going to happen, because I don't think any of the selectmen want to get the rage of the town, back. And I think they want to know what people think about. And it really does get down to the town, seems to me. It's really the town decision. It's town-owned land now. It's like the town needs input, the residents need input into that.
Right.
In order for whatever project goes in there for it to succeed.
That makes sense. It might be worth asking the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, so a simple request, what is the status of Cadle Rock and what is the process of going forward to it? Like a 2-sentence request to be on their agenda or something. No one else wants to do it, I'll do it.
No, I can do it.
Nominate you,
okay.
Christine.
I can ask to be put on the agenda,
Okay, good, Loretta.
particularly
You're less
when,
abrasive than I am.
yeah, that's probably true, although that hasn't been true our whole lives, but anyway. I'll see when it's not a crowded agenda, because hopefully there can be some discussion. And it might be that what we would want is also to invite other people in, like Our Town, Our Future, for instance, who have talked about it. And maybe someone from economic development and stuff like, so that it was not necessarily just us, although obviously we want to know, but I think it would be good for us to be transparent about it and to tell others that we're just interested in updating and what the town is thinking and what kind of input they're wanting from us,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I know that some people from ag have approached the board
Uh-huh.
about their ideas. So, you know, they've been hearing stuff from different places.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they've been hearing stuff from us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Parks and Recreations might be interested.
Right, exactly.
There are plenty of other possible uses.
Right.
So I do hope the Board of Selectmen, you know, really, they should be organizing a gathering.
A town what meeting?
Town meeting.
It
or-
should be a large town meeting to talk about. There was one before we owned it, there was a town meeting about it. I remember I went to it. That was like a few years ago, where they talked about the reports. So
Oh, I think that was kind of like an update on
yeah, but
what they were going, let's see, what the groups were going to do in terms of how they were going to get their samples and where they were
Right.
sampling and why and all that. But I don't think as part of that, it was anything about what
no, it
happened
wasn't.
next.
It wasn't, but it was an update on the process. So
Okay, so
we'd
maybe
like
the
to be
thing,
another update on the process.
right, maybe the thing for us to do right now is to go and say, we're curious about what's going on. We want to know what your thinking is and what's the status in terms of how is all this stuff going to be handled and what is your I mean, just asking them what their thinking is of their future plans
Right.
on all this.
And
It's large enough to have
and-
multiple uses.
and how are you going to get input from the various commissions and the residents of the town?
Okay,
And when? Simple.
everything is simple. Until it isn't.
But you'll do it nicely, Loretta.
Okay, so
So
I guess we got some things on the books to do. And I will get back to everybody with what after Bill and Stephanie get back to find out about the Tremco link, and then we'll do the thing in June of checking on Langheimer, and we'll go from there and do the trash table for the concerts.
and get input about a trash sign at the
Yeah.
transfer station.
Yeah, and the trash, yeah, Pam's gonna do that, and so then we'll just see what happens. I'll try and get a date for Board of Selectmen meeting, and
Cool,
we're good to go.
good.
All right, okay, everybody. Well, have a good rest of the evening. And
You
hopefully
too.
we'll,
Thank you.
all right, you're welcome. We'll meet again in June.
Good night.
Okay,
Hey,
bye-bye.
good night.
Bye.